much. You can probably hear me fine. So the next speaker, we want to welcome Kindred Hospice. Maybe some people don't know what hospice is or what it's all about. It's an introduction to hospice. Susan King and Kim Pritchett is going to talk about person-centered care and comfort care and give you the 101 on what hospice is. So Susan, did you want to
can you guys hear me okay?
Okay. And if you want to have Q&A, just let me know and I'll give you the phone.
As Deb said, I'm Susan and I am with Kindred Hospice. I'm the volunteer coordinator for Kindred Hospice. I have worked there for about 3 years, and I've been a nurse for about 10 years. I worked originally at Wiregrass Medical Center for 13 years. I still work there sometimes, and I absolutely love what I do. I love being out in the community and telling people about hospice, and I go to the senior centers and things like that to let them know. I have just recently transitioned to the volunteer coordinator role.
You know what, Susan? I think we're having a hard time hearing you back a little bit.
Yeah. I talk really low.
Yeah, so I think we're going to hook you up here.
Hook me up.
Yeah. You got that one? Okay. We just want to make sure everybody hears. Okay, so this one, just put in the pocket. Or in the pocket. You want to just hold on to it? Hold it. Okay.
Can you guys hear me? What about now?
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome.
Much better. Sorry. There are 5 key components of hospice. We have our physician and nursing roles. We also have hospice aides and social workers, chaplains, and volunteer services. I want to take just a few minutes to tell you guys about those services. We're going to start with our physician and nursing service. Our physicians are very involved in taking care of our patients, along with the primary care doctor and our medical directors. They collaborate to make sure our patients have everything that they need. They are readily available to provide refills or new prescriptions for possible infections or other needs that may arise. We have weekly team meetings that the physician attends. The family and the caregivers are also welcome to attend those meetings so they can see the physician face to face. We also have a nurse practitioner that makes regular visits in the home. She reports all of her findings back to the doctor and of course the patient's team. Because of all of these services, the patient doesn't have to get out and go to doctor's appointments. They are able to get the same services they would get going to the doctor in the patient's home. We know that sometimes that is very difficult for our caregivers and for our patients. Each patient is assigned an RN case manager. The RN case manager takes care of the patient's needs as a whole. They take care of the medication refills, and they do the wound care. They report the patient's status to the physician and the team to ensure continuity of care. They are the patient's families, the caregivers, their first call when they need something or if they have a question. To me, I think that's one of the best benefits of hospice is knowing that you can call anytime, day or night, and you're able to talk to a nurse. I'm going to move on to our hospice aides. Our hospice aides are certified nursing assistants. They are also available upon the patient's need. They can do like a standby assist or an entire bath for a patient. It really just depends on what the need is in the home. My grandmother loved her CNA. She loved when she would come in the home. They had a very special relationship. And I think she also loved the fact that it gave my mom and I a break, maybe, to do something else. because sometimes patients feel like they're putting you guys under a hardship, and I think that means a lot to them to know that somebody else can give you some relief. While giving a bath, the hospice aide is looking over the skin of the patient. They're also, assessing activity levels to see if anything has changed. They are there very often, and so they know if mom or dad is not acting the same as they were, 2 days ago when they were in the home. They will report all of the findings back to the RN case manager. They do this daily. We also have social workers. Our social workers are a wonderful asset to our team. They are our #1 access to any community resources. Our social workers assess, educate, they advocate for, and directly assist our patients and their families. They are able to help with advanced directives, living wills. If a caregiver is going out of town or maybe is overwhelmed, they can help that caregiver place the patient in like a facility for respite care. Our social workers are a big advocate for SARCOA and all of the resources that they provide. I know that they have helped patients find different living conditions when the need is there, and they also help with like VA applications and things like that as well. Whatever the need is, they work diligently to find the answer. They are very focused on our patients getting all of the resources that are available to them. Social workers are driven by a desire to help others. We also offer non-denominational chaplain services. They make visits in the homes. They provide emotional and spiritual support. They are there to be like a source of strength and hope and comfort. I believe one of the many benefits to chaplain services is that you have a confidential listening ear, just somebody to talk to, and it's not going to go anywhere else. That means a lot. Many emotions can overcome families with a loved one in hospice care. That may be guilt, stress, fear, sadness, a lot of different things. Our chaplains are there to help alleviate some of the guilt that families may feel when a patient becomes in hospice care. The work of our chaplains can also continue once a loved one has passed. As family members move into the mourning stages and funeral planning, the hospice chaplain can be there to work through any emotions that may arise. We also offer a volunteer program. All of our volunteers are thoroughly vetted and go through extensive training to work with our patients in the home. Volunteers bring something to the table that most people don't see anymore, and that is the ability to serve another without getting anything in return. Volunteering is a true act of kindness. Our volunteers are able to be in the home for 2 to 3 hours, depending upon the need. They can do like housekeeping, walk the dog, play dominoes, just offer caregivers a chance to get out of the house for a few hours and maybe go to the beauty shop or just run some errands around town. They make weekly phone calls to make sure our patients don't need anything. Maybe the caregiver just needs someone to talk to. One of the last visits I made this week with our volunteers was to a patient's home to give them a spa day. And our patient was not able, she loved to get pedicures done, and she wasn't able to get out of the house anymore to do that. And so we brought that to her. We did the whole spa tray and painted her toenails and just had a really good day. And it meant a lot to her. And you could tell, and she was smiling, and she just thanked us over and over again. It's a very rewarding program, and it's much needed for our patients and our families. I have dealt with hospice on a personal level. I'm actually currently doing that again. My 93-year-old grandmother is under hospice care. She's always been very healthy up until this last year. She had what we would consider to be a TIA, which is just some small ischemic strokes. And if you know anything about those, you'll have those, you know, on and on. And usually with each one, you tend to progressively get worse. After talking with her and the rest of my family, we decided we needed a plan in place. And my aunts and uncles, they all agreed, and we decided to get hospice started for her. She's doing great. She loves it. And she's 93 years old. She's been here a long time, and she is stubborn. I don't know if you have any family members that are stubborn, but I'm telling you, this is the most stubborn woman I know. But she's doing really good, and they're very patient with her, which is very needed because she can be very direct. But I say all of that just to let you guys know, mainly it's not just about work for me. It is a personal thing, and I truly believe in hospice. Hospice is not about giving up. It's just another level of care when aggressive treatment is no longer wanted or needed. I know people get scared of the hospice word sometimes, but when I speak at our centers and stuff, I tell them, please don't think of hospice as a bad thing. We all know that sickness doesn't usually tell us when it's going to rear its head. It usually comes out of nowhere. And having a plan in place for your loved one is wonderful because mom may wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and say, you know, I'm feeling nauseous, something's not right, I just don't feel good. And you're able to call, you know, immediately and get a nurse on the phone. And they can call, you know, them in some medicine or whatever may be needed for that patient. We do provide all DME equipment for our patients, most all DME equipment. That might be a hospital bed, a wheelchair, a walker. It just depends on what they need in the home. We provide our wound care supplies, and we do cover most all pain and comfort medications. We cover most all medications pertaining to the diagnosis that we admit a patient with. So if we admitted a patient for COPD, then most of their inhalers and things like that are going to be covered under hospice. It's a wonderful program, and I'm very passionate about it. I love talking about it, and I appreciate you guys letting me talk to you about it today. I'm going to let Kim come up, and she's going to talk about what you can qualify, how you can qualify for hospice, and discuss our palliative care program. Are you loud? You think
I'm pretty loud, yeah. I've been told I was loud by my 2 boys anyway, I'm pretty sure. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Kim Pritchett, and I work with Kindred Hospice. I'm a part of the team. And I, along with Susan, I do hospice because we experienced it with my father as well, so it's also personal for me. I worked in long-term care for 20 years before I stepped into hospice. I love the elderly, they're my heart. My dad got very sick, that's why I decided to go into long-term care. And then we went through the hospice process we kept him at home. My mom was his caregiver, and as well as our siblings, but she was his primary caregiver. And we actually had hospice for about a year with my dad. And it was the most wonderful program for us, for our family, and for my mom, who was taking care of him, and who was shouldering the burden of the care that was given. So it was, you know, we like she says, the word hospice is kind of a scary thing, and when my mom first talked to me about it, and I knew a little bit about hospice, it was more, I don't know if we really need that. God, thank the Lord that someone educated us on how that could help us and be a help to my mom, who was his caregiver. And we had a wonderful experience, and we could not have kept him at home and taken care of him without hospice. But my job is I go out to physicians, to nursing homes, and I educate them on the services that we provide. A lot of people don't realize that we do offer hospice services in a skilled nursing facility, some ALFs. So hospice is care. It doesn't matter where you live, we can provide that care wherever you call home, whether it's a nursing home or whether it's an ALF or your own home, your child's home, it doesn't matter. So we can come in and provide that care there. But a term that is relatively new to this area is palliative care. Has anyone ever heard of palliative care? The term palliative care? Very few. It is, Kindred Hospice about 3 years ago was the first hospice to bring palliative care to this area. We're very proud of that. But as we were going through, there was a group of patients that always kind of slipped through the cracks. They didn't qualify for home health. They didn't qualify for hospice because maybe they were getting some aggressive treatment that disqualified them. But they still needed a service line that could come to the home, put eyes on them, and figure out they need a medication change or they need some lab work done, things like that, some type of symptom management. And so this is what palliative care does. It is a third line of service, and Kindred has all 3 lines. We do hospice, we do home health care, and we do palliative care now. We're very proud to be the only hospice agency in this area to provide all 3 lines of service. But to get on palliative care, basically, you can make a phone call to our office. It doesn't have to come from a physician referral like hospice does or home health does. There's not a whole lot of paperwork involved. It's basically a nurse practitioner visit in your home. It's basically a home physician visit, if that makes sense. And she comes in a supervisory role. So she'll look at your medications, she'll look at any type of symptom that you're having that needs managing in the home, and she'll make adjustments, and she's going to work with your primary care physician because we don't want to step on anyone's toes, but we want to collaborate and work together to provide the best care for the patient. That patient may have a difficult time getting to their doctor's appointments. It may be transportation issues. And so that's a wonderful opportunity for the nurse practitioner to go out, lay eyes on the patient, and she can go in and see, hey, we got an issue that needs to be addressed quickly. And so we can go in and do that. She can recognize the need if there is any equipment needs, and she can get that process started. She can also bring in home health if there's a home health need. So when I'm talking with people, I always say a perfect combination is palliative care with home health care, if they could qualify for home health. So the nurse practitioner can come in and say, this patient needs lab draws, I need them every 2 weeks, we've got to check this or that. That home health nurse comes in and she provides all of the lab draws, just as a specific patient. I love palliative care. Sometimes people intermingle the hospice and palliative care. They are different. Now, all hospice is palliative care, of course. That's what we're providing, comfort care. But there is a different term as far as lines of service. So palliative hospice are 2 different things. A perfect example of a patient that we would take care of for palliative care would be you've got kidney disease, patient getting dialysis, 2, 3, 4 times a week. And after they go and have their dialysis, maybe they may be nauseated, they may have some different things going on. And that's a perfect example of a palliative care patient we can come in and help take care of, help manage those symptoms, get that nausea medications in there, anything that they might need. Another example, these are a lot of the patients that we take care of with our palliative program, is cancer patients. So we are bound by Medicare guidelines as to who we can take care of with hospice. You have to qualify, in other words. So Medicare tells us who qualifies for hospice. And unfortunately, if you are a cancer patient and you are having aggressive treatment, your chemotherapies, they even consider the immunotherapy as aggressive treatment, it disqualifies you for the hospice service, but it does not for the palliative. So that patient that's going in and maybe getting their chemotherapy once a week, and then they have a lot of nausea that goes along with that maybe afterwards. Some people do fine. Some people have symptoms that need managing. A lot of cancer patients have pain, and that's something that we specialize in pain management. And what I found, we work very closely with the oncologist in the area, and we to take care of their patients. And a lot of times what we do is we're managing the symptoms for them at home. And we will call the oncologist, we collaborate with them, we let them know, hey, we're going to make a change to their pain medicine because what they're on is not holding them, and they're having some breakthrough pain. So we can get that changed very quickly and get that medication into the home and then see if that works. Well, then our nurse practitioner can go back the next week, hey, that didn't work, we got to do something different. See, so it's got lots of changes. It's a perfect scenario to have that nurse practitioner coming out. I love palliative care. I'm so thankful we have it now in this area. Now, in different parts of the United States, palliative care has been there a while. It's relatively new here. So that's our job, is to make sure we get everybody educated on palliative care as well as the hospice services. But that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions about any of that, or what qualifies you, or?
You do have one here that says, how does a patient get referred? And it says, so a doctor has to refer a patient to you?
For hospice care and for home health, there has to be a physician referral. For palliative care, does not require physician referral. So if you had a loved one that you wanted us to come out, you can pick up the phone and call our office, and we'll take care of that. So it does not require a physician referral at this time. Hospice does, though, yeah.
But now with hospice, we will do the work. If you'll call the office,
yeah,
and let us know, hey, I'm interested in hospice, I think my loved one might qualify, then we'll do the legwork and make contacts to the physician's offices.
Right. We'll find out who the physician is, and we'll make those phone calls for you.
Is there an age requirement?
There is no age requirement for hospice. Different hospices do. Well, Kindred does not do pediatric hospice. There's very few in this area that do pediatric hospice. So with our specific, it is, we take care of the on up in age. But hospice, there could be hospice for kids too.
You had another question?
Yes. On the hospice, do you have to requalify every 6 months? Or, oh, okay, it is a
Yeah,
requalification.
you do.
Yeah.
What about on the palliative care? Do you have to requalify for that, or is that?
It does require, yes, it does, and that nurse practitioner will do that. As long as you have a symptom that needs managing, you'll qualify. There's no time limit on either service. As long as you qualify, it's a benefit that's available to you.
Can you expound on that a little bit, on what qualifies patients for palliative care and hospice?
Yeah, sure. So both palliative and hospice, you have some type of life-limiting illness or condition that requires some type of symptom management. With palliative care, of course, it is it's broad, because those that are still seeking aggressive treatment can still get that service. With hospice, because like I said, those Medicare guidelines, they kind of put more restrictions on who is appropriate for hospice services. You know, a patient on hospice is someone who has, you know, maybe it's a cancer patient and they have struggled through their treatments, and they decide, you know, they may be up in age, that I just don't want to do this anymore. I just want to enjoy the time that I have left with my family. I don't want to go back and forth to the doctor. I don't want to go back and forth to the hospital. And there does come a time, and we, you know, when we, and we've done that. You know, I've done that personally with my dad. There just comes a point where they just kind of get tired, and they just want to be at home, and they want to be with their family. And we do not, you know, nobody knows when the Lord is going to call them home. We're just there to make sure that they're comfortable and the family has support through that process. That's what we're there for, to make sure that they're as comfortable as possible. Did I
think
answer?
life limiting is it's a scary word to me.
Yeah.
But I think you need to think about like COPD, heart disease, definitely cancer,
Absolutely.
kidney failure. I mean, there's all types of diseases that can be a life limiting, and it may not be life limiting, you know, in a year. It may be life limiting in 3 years.
Right.
Because we have people graduate from our program too.
So
life-
used to, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Used to a hospice, everyone thought, oh, if I go on hospice, I'm dying. I know, look, everybody shook their head. I know, and that's my job to make sure that that perception is changed. So about 5 years ago, Medicare did ease up on the guidelines for hospice. It was actually about the time I started in the hospice. And so they said, you know, we're going to look at more of a prognosis type than diagnosis, really. So we're going to look at the whole big picture of this patient, what's going on with them. We don't know. There's not a physician around that can tell you you're going to pass within 6 months. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. It depends on, you know, there's a lot of factors, but their best estimate is that this patient, if they continue on the course that they're on, they will pass in the next 6 months, a year to what, you know, we don't know. But anyway, I know it's a scary word, but it does not mean that you are dying. It means that you need some support at home to help you, or in the skilled nursing facilities too. If you have a loved one in a skilled nursing facility, we can also go in there and help. And we're an extra set of eyes for you in those facilities. And I know we've helped a lot during the COVID pandemic in our facilities. So,
Any other questions?
My dad passed recently, and we waited almost too late to check into hospice because we had that fear of, oh, this is the end.
yeah.
And actually, when we started services, he was in services for less than 36 hours.
Yeah.
And he passed. But I just want to tell you thank you for what you do and what you offer, because it's so important.
Thank you. Well, like I said, when you've been touched by it personally, you know, it's a calling for sure to do what we do. And that, Susan and I both feel that way. We're here because this is where the Lord wants us, and for our patients and their families. So, any other questions?
I have a comment that I'd like to make. We use Kindred Hospice with my aunt, and just because I'm a social worker and I'm, you know, so I could kind of help guide my family along. But I do want to say that if you get them in early enough and they get like a good rapport with the person that's working with it, because the nurse aide that we had, which my aunt has since 2018, she is still with our family today. So that's just how much they cared and came in and was like a family. And it was like amazing.
Thank you for
It was
sharing
very,
that.
like,
Absolutely.
amazing.
And that's
and
what.
she's still there with the family and my aunt, you know, so.
Yeah.
I'm just, so
It's good work. It's good work. It is. And just, you know, thankful to be a part of it. Yeah. And I bet I know which aide you're talking about.
She's from like the Phoenix City area.
Okay, gotcha.
But I was working in Geneva.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so I knew the people in Kindred, so I was like, hey, I have an aunt that lives in Oakland because she needs hospice. And that's just how it worked. I didn't have to do anything. She was all over in Auburn, and they was in Geneva taking care of things on that side. So
Right. We try to make it as easy on the family. You're going through enough. And we just want it to be as easy on you as possible, seamless, so that you can be daughter, you can be granddaughter, you can be, you know, whatever it is. You know, we just want you to be able to go back to that role. that, so. And thank you for sharing that too. I appreciate both of you. That makes us feel real good about what we do. It's very good to hear those positive things. It is. All right, we'll be here too. If y'all have any questions, we'll be glad to answer any of them.